This episode is all about Nebari, which simply means surface roots. Many of our favorite bonsai have prominent exposed roots that play an important role in stability and balance. In this first section, I'll cover how to develop Nebari through regular root pruning. And in the second section, I'll share two main methods for stimulating new surface root formation. Let's get to it. Regular root pruning. Over time, as trees grow in the wild, they often develop strong, prominent roots near the soil surface. These roots serve multiple purposes, such as anchoring the tree, providing stability, absorbing water and nutrients, and adding to the tree's aesthetic appeal. To achieve something similar with our potted bonsai, we need to regularly remove vertical, downward growing roots while keeping plenty of horizontal or lateral roots intact. The easiest way to accomplish this is each time you repot your bonsai, just take a look at this massive beech tree. It has very thick, sturdy roots near the base of the trunk. When we repot this tree, we're going to keep these surface roots intact while removing the bottom portion of the root ball. By doing so, we'll maintain its natural shape while keeping it stable and well anchored. Now let's examine a smaller tree with thinner roots. Again, we'll retain the surface roots while trimming off the lower portion of the root ball. You may notice that some of these roots were circling around the container. That's totally fine. We'll simply untangle them during the repotting process and reposition them accordingly. Now let's see what the root system looks like after trimming. Notice that we still have plenty of large, healthy roots near the base of the trunk, ensuring stability and promoting future Nebari development. To summarize, the key is to keep most of the large roots near the base of the trunk while trimming away the rest. In addition to maintaining stability, this practice gradually develops a visually pleasing root flare. For newly acquired trees that haven't been pruned previously, simply remove any circling roots and loosen the root ball. Loosen the root ball. If possible, try to keep as much of the original Nebari intact. Although it might not be immediately apparent, the existing roots will likely produce new surface roots over time. By following these guidelines, you'll set your bonsai up for success, allowing it to thrive and flourish in its new container. Something else you can do to promote lateral root growth instead of downward growth is to place young trees on a flat stone. This works especially well for conifers. Over time, the roots will naturally spread out laterally along the stone rather than growing straight down into the pot. Layering. In addition to regular root pruning, there are two main methods for stimulating new surface root formation. The first method is called the tourniquet method. This approach involves wrapping copper wire tightly around the trunk base, which helps to block the flow of nutrients. As the trunk thickens over time, new roots are forced to emerge just above the wire. This technique works best with slower growing tree species. Since it restricts nutrient flow, you don't want to leave the wire on too long, especially with fast-growing species. Typically, it's safe to leave the wire on for about 3 years. Just check periodically to make sure the bark isn't getting damaged or splitting. The longer you leave the wire on, the more likely it is that roots will emerge above the wire. However, if you remove the wire before the roots start growing above it, the underlying wood will remain uninjured. To effectively use the tourniquet method, ensure that the copper wire is tight enough to restrict nutrient flow, but not so tight that it damages the bark or impedes blood flow. If you're unsure about the appropriate tightness, err on the side of caution and go a bit looser. It's better to wait a bit longer for root development than to risk harming the tree. Also, consider covering the wire with something like grafting tape to prevent the bark from growing over it. This will help ensure that the wire remains visible and effective in stimulating root growth. The second method is known as the ring method. It involves making 2 parallel cuts that encircle the trunk. Then we remove the bark and a living cambium layer between them, exposing the hardwood underneath. This technique is great for both small and large diameter trunks. Applying rooting hormone is optional but recommended. Next, wrap the wound with moist sphagnum moss and plastic wrap. Then secure the ends with grafting tape. You'll likely see new roots emerging within a few weeks, but sometimes it can take a couple months. Once they reach about an inch in length, you can separate them and pot the new root ball. Let me walk you through this step by step using a small branch on this Chinese elm. First, disinfect your pruners. Then make 2 parallel cuts around the branch. Be sure not to cut too deeply and damage the phloem or inner bark. Carefully peel back the bark and remove the green cambium layer. The resulting wound should be clean and white. If you see any brown or black, you've cut too deeply. So disinfect your blade again and make new cuts above the damaged area. Continue this process until you have a clean white wound. Optionally, you can apply rooting hormone to the cut surface. Now wrap the wound with moist sphagnum moss and plastic. Secure the ends with grafting tape and check it occasionally. The plastic wrap is there to hold the sphagnum moss in place and prevent it from drying out. So when you see roots sprouting, just remove the plastic. Keep the moss moist and the roots will continue to grow. Once they reach about an inch in length, it's time to separate them and pot them up. You can do this with a sharp blade or pruners. Just disinfect them first. Then carefully separate the roots and admire your handiwork. The entire process should take less than 20 minutes. This is best done in spring when the tree is actively growing and can recover efficiently. Just like the torikake method, the ring method restricts nutrient flow to the upper portion of the tree, encouraging it to produce roots near the base of the trunk. To summarize, the first approach involves regular root pruning to maintain stability and gradually develop a root flare. By preserving the mature roots near the trunk base while strategically trimming others, we can enhance the tree's stability and appearance. The second approach entails using the tourniquet or ring method to stimulate new surface root formation. Both techniques contribute to creating a more stable and visually appealing bonsai. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Bonsai are a wonderful hobby that allow us to appreciate nature's beauty in a unique way. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or a curious beginner, we hope that you'll join us in exploring the world of bonsai. Thank you for watching.